Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. Today we will be continuing our journey with Black Sabbath. We hope you don't mind, because obviously normally we only do 3 albums by band, so but it has to be done, it is correct.
Yeah, we quite enjoyed the first 3, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought they were really good reviews and we enjoyed doing them. Tough. Vol 4, or Volume 4. Ozzy definitely calls it Volume 4, he announced it in the concerts as Volume 4. It is actually called Vol 4 though, that's what's written on there. The actual title was Snowblind, because that was the song, and obviously the drug connotations were a problem for the record company. Once again, Sabbath obviously didn't have very good record deals, and there was a lot of control from record companies putting inverted crosses on albums and things like that. So the record company vetoed the title Snowblind, which is completely ridiculous. The song Snowblind is on the album with Ozzy going cocaine. That's okay, but you can't call the albums. And they in the album sleeve they say, thanks to the great Coca-Cola company, they were having a lot of coke, a lot of coke. Bands have coke, but they were having speaker cabinets full of apparently the purest cocaine anyone's ever heard. And the volume of it was ridiculous, and they were off the planet. So Snowblind was apt. The whole album is apt. I think it starts really with Tony Iommi he's an interesting character, isn't he? And I think he's the kind of person, he's not your typical rock star who kind of has a big ego and enforces his ego on people. He looks for acceptance. That's the impression I get, and obviously he's the leader of the band, he controls the music. And I think the fact that the press hated them so much and really sort of looked down on them rankled, and there was an attempt to progress and move forward and be more proggy and that kind of thing. And I think the band apparently were a little bit against that, and that became more of a problem later, and Ozzy particularly was the one that wasn't happy with that. And album sales did go down as a result of them changing a bit. The music didn't get worse though, but we'll talk about that probably with our next review. So consequently this is the weird one. You've got the classic 6 first Sabbath albums that are so wonderful, but this is the weirdest one. It's the one which is the hardest to review. It's not just a matter of saying yes, it's wonderful, because it is very strange. It's still tuned down, so all the instruments are tuned down to C sharp, and the sound of it, even more so than Master of Reality, it's kind of rubbish production. It's muffled and I've noticed, when they did the deluxe editions, there was deluxe editions of the first 3. There wasn't a deluxe edition of that. There was just a remaster, which sounds much the same actually, and is an incredibly muddy sounding album. But that reflects their state of mind, in that they were just out of it, off the planet. They were completely off the wall, gone, on drugs, lots of drugs. So it is certainly interesting. But if you read about Volume 4, you won't read about the music, you'll read about all their escapades, the stupid things they were doing, and playing tricks on Billboard. Like, he was so off his head, they just find him naked lying on the floor in the studio, so they found some gold paint, so they painted him gold. And apparently it was the wrong sort of, it was toxic gold paint or something, and covered up his pores, and he had a seizure and had to go to hospital and all this stuff. But there's so many things like that, particularly with Billboard, where it was because he got so drunk. I think it was drugs as well, but I think really it was alcohol was probably more of a problem. And they'd put him in a boat and push him out into the middle of a lake, so he'd wake up in the middle of a lake on a boat and things like this. And famously they were in this house in LA. It's partially the problem with the dodgy management people who are kind of dodgy characters, putting them in this house in LA and giving them infinite money, infinite drugs supplied, keep taking more, come on. And apparently at one point they went to see a French Connection, not a French Connection, I don't know, a film about undercover police uncovering a drugs ring or something, and apparently by the end of the film Ozzy was hyperventilating because they thought they were going to get caught. And apparently at one point in the house they found a button. Maybe I think there might be a bit of a disagreement about who pressed the button, but I think Bill pressed the button, and they thought it was a button for the maid or something. It wasn't. It was a panic button to call the police. So the police appear outside. Oh my God! So they flush all the stuff down the toilet, and then when the police come in and they say okay, goodbye, and they're all trying to get it back out the toilet and all this ridiculous stuff. That's what you would read about. However, the music is important and massively influential. All that metal that has that weird, low-key, muffled sound that sort of comes from Volume 4. You listen to that, it feels like you're on drugs. It is an amazing album in many ways, and in other ways it's the least quality of those 6. So that's interesting. This is the last time the record company were messing with the titles of the songs. So, your 8-minute song, also, which Will's Confusion, last section is called The Straightener, and Under the Sun, the middle fast section of that is called Every Day Comes and Goes, for no reason. The songs are faster, unsurprisingly, if they're on coke. So that you can see that there's an attempt to move away from the dirginess, and yet some of it's the most dirgy music they've ever made. But the vibe of the songs is different. It's not just your heaviness, your Into the Void, doom. There's a happiness to some of the music, and it's much more introspective, and rather than doom and gloom about the world, the wars, and all that stuff. So it's interesting.
The important thing for me about this is I would have guessed that most people would have had their money on the bubble bursting at this point.
Yeah.
The 3 albums have gone and been incredibly successful. Considering the characters involved, you would expect implosion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were acting in exactly the manner you would expect them to implode.
Yeah.
And yet,
somehow
they managed to come through it.
And the music's really good.
The music's really good. That is the amazing thing about Black Sabbath.
How can they be good?
You look at it, you try and look at it objectively, and you think there's no way in this world that this band could even conceivably come up with this kind of absolutely fundamental music, a bedrock of modern metal.
Yeah.
And there's no way you would expect them to be able to sustain it past their first few albums, because let's face it, the first few albums was 2 albums were stuff that they were they'd already written before they were famous. Then comes the tricky third album where they've got to write specifically for an album, which they managed to get through. They managed to get through quite well. So what do you do now? They are now professional. They are a professional rock band.
Yeah.
There's no going back now, and that brings a whole different type of pressure, which somehow, despite all the problems they give themselves, they manage to deal with and come up with another absolutely fundamental piece of music.
And the way they are changing. This is, in a way, it's an intermediary between Master Reality and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. You've got to have that join in the middle, but at the same time, there's nothing quite like this. Because it's Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, it sparkles, the sound comes out of the speakers. This is, it's, in a way, it sounds terrible. So the stuff's faster, but it hasn't got grandiose like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Sabotage. It's still dirgy, which is interesting. Obviously, the cover, very famous, very iconic. You think about it, that's a big change from Ozzy. The image of Ozzy on those first 3 albums is this waif-like clown, this suffering individual. But here, you've got Ozzy, go fucking crazy. All that. That's Ozzy, isn't it? It's that Ozzy. Now, just imagine Led Zeppelin releasing Led Zeppelin 4 with Robert Plant on the cover. That's what they're to put Ozzy out the front like that is interesting. But obviously by now that they've spotted what a fantastic, amazing frontman he is. So it shows that they recognise that they did actually have him on the cover.
Yeah.
So they didn't just think he was an idiot.
Should we start reviewing some tracks?
Yeah.
Track 1?
Track 1, Wheels of Confusion. I really like Wheels of Confusion. It's an interesting one. It's not considered the top tier. It's kind of second tier, but I think it's become more appreciated over time. We made a bit of joke about it at the intro to our video because the riff is very slow and it's just repeating D, lots of D. Although actually it's B because it's down tuned. It's a long one, but straight away there's an attempt to be more subtle in the melody and it's slow. Instead of being in your face, generals gathered in their masses like witches at black masses. It's long ago I wandered through my mind, and the melody as well is quite complicated melody. So there is an attempt to change people's opinions of the band with this song. It's like a melancholy rather than the heaviness. It's now a melancholy. Although in so many ways it's the same band playing the same stuff. There's a different vibe. It's because they're not in Birmingham going down Tip Mill and all that anymore. They're in a drug hell. So it's different. Wheels of Confusion.
I mean, I think we'll find most of these tracks on this album won't be considered top tier for Black Sabbath. I think we're rooting around in what would be widely considered the second tier.
Yeah.
But it's the second tier where the business is really, because it's the second tier that defines the overall quality of a band.
Yeah.
And obviously this is all really good stuff. Wheels of Confusion is a good track. It's not, as you say, it's not quite iconic in the sense that the opening's not fantastically memorable, like the other album openers.
Well, it's a blues opening,
Yeah,
which is so different from what they
Yeah.
did before.
yeah,
It's not like a cough.
yeah. But it's good in the sense that you put this on. You're a Black Sabbath fan. You wait for the next album. You're a little bit trepidatious over what's going to come out. You put this on, and I think you'd be surprised, and you'd have plenty to go out there because it sounds different again.
Yeah.
It's an evolve. It feels like an evolving band.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a logic to listen to the albums in order,
Yeah.
like a lot of these bands. I think the other thing about Wheels Confusion, obviously, is the Straightener, which is what the record company called the coda. Really interesting. I mean, I don't know if it was played in the 70s or not. It may well have been, but as far as I know, it may not have been played until 2012. No, 2013. I'm going to say 2013, and they don't play the last section, which is really surprising. And I think Cathedral in the 90s did a cover version of it. They didn't play that last section either, and I think it's wonderful. But I would see why a 90s band wouldn't play it. So that bit you can deal with. That's okay because it's Iommi riffing, even though there's a keyboard part which sounds like The Road to Hell, but it goes all Mark Knopfler, and I'm not exaggerating. It's a Mark Knopfler type guitar outro, which is uncool, but brilliant in the way it fits songs of the song, it fits in the album, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they didn't play it live. Interesting.
I wonder if there's something to do with the practicalities of.
Could be something. Yeah. And you need to hear the keyboards.